Why is Trump talking about how big Arnold Palmer's is? Alright, I can't wait to show you some absurd clips from Donald Trump's rally in Latrobe, Pennsylvania tonight. He held 3 or 4 events yesterday and quickly got out of bed today and said, you know what, I want to hold some more disastrous events. And the best part is, we can put this in contrast with VP Harris's event today in Atlanta where she killed it. And it's so funny to draw these parallels because VP Harris will say Donald Trump is unstable and he rambles at his rallies, and then we go over to the Trump rally and he's rambling like an unstable lunatic. We have a lot to break down in no time to waste. 17 days to go. I can't wait to show you guys some voter stories at the end of this video, some of your guys' stories that I found in the comment section. Drop a like, drop some blue hearts, and let's jump in with this first clip. Donald Trump told a story about Arnold Palmer for 10 minutes when he got on stage. This is what it sounded like.
Many championships, many of the best championships were at the rally. And I was building these beautiful, they call them villas, about 88 units in each one, hotel villas. And I named them after the 10 greatest golfers, including like Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Slam, Sammy Snead, all great players.
This went on for 9.5 more minutes. He just talked about golf, and then it came to a climax, we could call it, when Trump started talking about Arnold Palmer's genitals.
Oh man, this man was strong and tough, and I refused to say it, but when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh my God, that's unbelievable. I had to say it. I had to say it. We have women that are highly sophisticated here, but they used to look at Arnold and say, "Man."
Just think about this. This is about 15 minutes into Donald Trump's rally. All he had talked about was golf stories, stories about his past, and then Arnold Palmer's. And you know, the onus is on us to call stuff out like that. The onus is on communities like the one that we've built, because honestly, the mainstream media fails to point out some of the absolutely insane stuff Trump says, and he can literally ramble on in his rallies about Hannibal Lecter, about Arnold Palmer, about Arnold Palmer's genitals, and Kamala Harris can talk about her child tax credit plan, her business tax credit, her housing plan, and the mainstream media just doesn't really cover it in the same way that we do, so the onus does fall on us. James Singer said, tonight in Atlanta, Kamala Harris is talking about lowering costs, cutting taxes, and protecting Americans' freedoms. Donald Trump is waxing poetic about Arnold Palmer's dick, and somehow the race is still a statistical tie. You know I love checking 538. Real quick, Trump is now up by 1. That is why we need to get out and vote. I have some amazing stories at the end of this video. Harris +2, Trump +2, Harris +1, Trump +1. That is an absolute tie right there. We do have some Harris +6s, +4s, but it really just depends on how we turn out. Let's show a clip of our pro-democracy candidate, VP Harris. Let's check in on how she's doing in Atlanta.
And now, he's ducking debates and canceling interviews because of exhaustion. And when he does answer a question or speak at a rally, have you noticed he tends to go off script and ramble? And generally, for the life of him, cannot finish a thought. And he has called it the weave. But I think we here will call it nonsense.
It is nonsense, and I think the best part is, while VP Harris was saying this, like simultaneously, Donald Trump was over there talking about Arnold Palmer and talking about golf for over 10 minutes. VP Harris is hitting a great stride, and then about 30 minutes, halfway through his speech, Donald Trump gets exhausted and starts to get distracted by his own hair on the screen in front of him.
People running, 22 Democrats, they're running. Oh, I'm looking at my hair up there. Let's see. Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. Excuse me, I'm going to recomb my hair. Do you mind? People.
Donald Trump rallies consist of him talking about himself, his achievements, Hannibal Lecter, immigration, himself, again, immigration. He talks about sharks and McDonald's and communism, but everything but an actual plan. Because it's a clever thing, because instead of talking about housing, he can just say the housing crisis is caused by immigration, then talk about immigration. Instead of talking about the economy, he just said it's bad because of immigration. Instead of talking about anything that matters to people, any actual on-the-ground issue, he relates it back to immigration. And watch this clip. Donald Trump is cussing at VP Harris, saying she's a shit vice president.
And this one, Kamala, is further left than them. So you have to tell Kamala Harris that you've had enough, that you just can't take it anymore. We can't stand you. You're a shit vice president. The worst. You're the worst vice president. Kamala, you're fired. Get the hell out of here. You're fired.
Kamala Harris has somehow not done anything in 4 years, but at the same time passed so much legislation that our country has been broken, and she is a shit vice president. Jojo from Jers correctly points out, can you imagine Kamala Harris standing on stage and telling the world that this motherfucker was a shit president? She wouldn't be wrong, and it is 100% true, but she would never say it for all the world to hear, because that's not what we expect from our leaders. They're supposed to be better than this. He will never be better than this. And I do want to point out that every single clip I've watched has had some sort of ad. It makes me wonder who has the money to buy all of this stuff. Here's an ad for Trump free gold and silver. Here is an ad for a Trump free silver coin. I mean, this isn't even the most egregious offense. If you guys watched my video from last night, we were all stunned because first we saw an ivermectin ad, then we saw an ad for Trump pocket knives, then we saw My Pillow ads with Nazi slogans like the 1488 Nazi dog whistle on them. Here is VP Harris saying, if you're not sure how to vote, just watch Donald Trump's rallies, and then I want to play you a clip that proves what she's saying.
That understand the importance of caring and kindness, who understand the importance of having a leader who speaks truth and is not so self-consumed. You know, I keep talking about somebody needs to just watch his rallies if you're not really sure how to vote. Because he spends full time talking about himself and mythical characters, not talking about the working people, not talking about you, not talking about lifting you up. And so as we spend these next 17 days, we're going to go vote today. We're going to remind people to vote. We're going to register folks to vote. We're going to email, text, phone call, knock on doors.
Absolutely. And you know, I have a really good clip of Trump, but I want to dig into the first comment. I want to highlight some of your guys' stories. Someone named Pat said, I was one of those 7 million people watching that Fox interview with Brett and Harris, and my mind was changed before it ended. She seemed sincere and answered the questions much better than I thought she would. Since there's no more Republican Party for now, I'm supporting Harris. I have one more that I want to highlight, and then we'll do some more later. This one I love. It says, hey bro, I've written to you a lot of times. I'm a disabled combat veteran and I've never had voted in my life. Because of you and your honest content, I'll be voting for the first time in my life, and it will be for our future Madam President Harris. Shout out to you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for voting. I could not think of a better example of a great A+ American. Let's dig into this clip of Donald Trump talking about Mark Milley, and then we'll compare that with VP Harris's campaign talking points.
These stupid people like Milley, General Milley. Remember his performance in Congress? General Milley and Mattis, all these guys, what a bunch of lightweights. But we have
a bunch of lightweights. The absolute goal for Donald Trump to call General Mark Milley a lightweight. Let me read this really quickly. General Mark Milley served as the 20th chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the highest ranking military officer in the nation, and the principal military advisor to the president, and the Secretary of Defense, and the National Security Council. He served for 35 years and went through 8 positions and the special forces throughout that time. I mean, man, Donald Trump calls him a lightweight because he didn't want to subvert the will of the American people, because he didn't want to coup the government, and he didn't back Donald Trump's narcissistic election fraud lies. Here is Senator Ossoff killing it in Georgia, explaining why we need to get out and vote.
And don't just take my word for it. The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, he served for years as our nation's most senior military officer under Donald Trump. He said Donald Trump is, quote, the most dangerous person ever.
To
He
say the
said
least.
Donald Trump is, quote, a fascist, is, quote, the most dangerous person ever. He said Donald Trump is, quote, a fascist to his core. Think about that for a second. This is the man who led the United States Armed Forces under Donald Trump. You should hear what Republican senators say about Donald Trump when the microphones are off.
Boom.
See,
We've got some great Democratic interlocutors coming up.
there are a lot of elected Republicans who know the man is unfit for the presidency. But no matter what he says or does, even after he tried to force them to break the law and overturn an election, even after he raised a mob that assaulted the police and sacked the U.S. Capitol, even after his lies about the election put at risk the lives of election officials in Georgia and across the country, mostly they just fall in line.
Ossoff may be my favorite Democrat on the bench right now, or one of them. I also want to show you what Ron Filipkowski just posted. Antonio Brown, kicked off the Bucks after shirtless tantrum, rides around with New York City driver. This is not the craziest thing Antonio Brown did. This is not even in the top 10 craziest things. I don't even want to say what he did because we've talked enough about Arnold Palmer's genitals this episode. But it started here, and now he is a Trump grifter. You know, there's a meme, there's a conspiracy that every single time somebody's about to have crazy allegations come out, whether they're about to be outed as a sexual pervert or a sexual abuser, they just turn MAGA real quick and they can say, you know, the system is rigged against me. See Andrew Tate. You know, it happens time and time again. And here's a clip of Donald Trump laughing as one of his supporters calls for no child support on overtime. And then he'll say he's the protector of women in another clip.
We want that no tax on overtime.
Yeah, no tax on overtime.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
you know the steelworkers work a lot of overtime.
You never even heard about that, right?
No,
tax on
no.
No child support on overtime.
That's another one.
You think they're good?
I want you to put the hard hat on.
No child support on overtime.
Could we get a picture?
We want that no. We're going to get you a lot.
And I have one more clip of Trump, but I do want to read a few more of these comments from you guys that I'm absolutely loving. Somebody said, I voted yesterday here in my small city in Georgia, blue all the way. Was leaving the polling station with two other women that were there together. I said to them, we just helped elect our first Madam President. It is so exciting to get rid of the ex-liar-in-chief and be part of this history that is happening right now. In reply, and in unison, both women shouted, amen. We had a lovely conversation about how incredibly capable and qualified our future Madam President is, and how angry Mango is too. Harris Walls 2024, we are not going back. If you guys have any stories to share, let me know as well. And I just want to end off this video by watching maybe the most egregious clip of this so far. We already watched it, but someone in the reply sums it up perfectly. They said, quote, oh look, Captain Bone Spurs is denigrating a dedicated career service military member who has served our country for decades upon decades.
These stupid people like Milley, General Milley. Remember his performance in Congress? General Milley and Mattis, all these guys, what a bunch of lightweights. But we have these.
General Mark Milley has more patriotism in his pinky finger than Donald Trump has in his entire body. If you guys agree and if you appreciate what I do, drop a like, triple check to make sure you're subscribed. We're trying to hit 600K before the election. Have a great rest of your day and peace out.